Hi, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started in a minute or two, so just hang tight for us. Hope everybody's having a great day. I'm just going to, we said we'd start promptly 11, which we will. I'll give everyone a few more seconds just to get any last minute connections, and then we will get going. So I think at least some of you know Ava. Ava's joining us. Carl is here, but he is traveling today, so you can't see him, but he is here in spirit and body, I guess. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and hide Ava, and so we can get going. All right. So welcome to everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jeff. I am the CEO and Chief AI Officer here at Andromeda. Talk for 15 minutes or so today, and then I'll just be happy to answer any questions. If you have a question along the way, you can just throw it into the Q&A box, or at the end, raise your hand, and I will happily unmute you, and we can actually dialogue. So if you came here for an AI tool demo or a productivity webinar, this is not going to be that. Now, it doesn't mean you'll be disappointed. In fact, I hope it'll be quite the opposite. So what we will be talking about, though, is your employees and their use of AI and how there's a decent chance that might be exposing some sensitive data. So first up, let's just be clear about what the session is and is not. So most AI webinars these days are focused on either what AI can do or how you can use it, things like that. And that matters, but it's not really where most leadership teams should be starting. So before companies are pushing AI harder or even rolling it out, they really need to know what may already be happening in the organization. So where are most companies today? Well, just do a quick poll here. There's really no bad answer. It's really just where your company is in your AI journey. So take a few seconds, look at those answers, and just kind of decide in your head which answer best describes your organization. So what we typically find is many leadership teams have some limited visibility into how their employees are using AI. Some aren't sure what tools are being used, what information is being entered, or just if there's any guardrails at all. So the critical point really, though, is that employees are not waiting for leadership to develop an official AI strategy. They're not waiting for the big rollout. They're already using AI, right? The adoption is already happening, almost guaranteed. So the common misconception here is that AI use starts when leadership approves a tool. But in reality, what's happening is employees are probably already using public AI tools. They're using their personal accounts and even built-in AI features of the software that you already have. So the intent of people is almost always good, right? People are trying to save time. They're trying to get their work done. And really, they just want to see what all the hype is about. But where the issue comes from is just this unmanaged use. We're not talking about malicious behavior. No one's out here trying to do bad. But that really leads us to the next problem. And it's that leadership often just cannot see what's happening. There's no visibility. So employees may be using AI tools that were never approved, reviewed, configured, or even explained, right? It's just kind of the wild, wild west. So what happens here is this creates a gap between what leadership thinks is happening and what the employees are actually doing. And that gap is really where the risk starts. So how does this exposure actually happen? So this is now we're getting to the heart of the issue. So the behavior that they're doing feels normal, right? They tell AI, summarize this, rewrite that, go analyze this data for me, clean this thing up. And generally it starts nice and slow, and then it builds as the employees get a little more confidence. And what happens is they start giving it more data, more information, and more content. Now, if that content includes sensitive company data, it may be going somewhere that the company doesn't manage, doesn't control, and is never even considered. Now, here's how this happens. It can happen through someone pasting some text, uploading documents, importing spreadsheets, or meeting recordings. Think about how many meetings you attend these days where something where it gets recorded. Not really sure what was said, not sure where the data goes or who has access to it. And in the manufacturing space, the data at stake isn't just generic office information, right? It's often confidential, proprietary drawings, information on parts, all kinds of things that can create a giant risk. So the point about this, though, is that it's not AI tools are not unsafe, right? I mean, there certainly are some out there, but no, most AI tools are not unsafe. The question really is whether employees know what information should require special care. So what looks like a simple quote may contain a pricing strategy. A customer spec may include some confidential requirements or drawings. The transcript of that meeting may contain far more information than people realize. All right, so let's circle this back. Let's make it a little practical for your company. So just another quick think to yourself poll. So which of these would create the biggest concern for you and your business? Now, as is mostly the case, right, different companies will answer differently. But the broader point is that AI exposure depends on the type of data that's involved. So I'll give you a few seconds to look at those and lock in your answer for yourself. All right. So like I said, your answer is going to depend on your business. It's going to depend on your role, the information you consider most sensitive. But if you take a look, you'll notice the pattern across all these choices. Whether we're talking about customer information, pricing, employee information, operational data, financial strategy, these are all business risks with real consequences if the data gets out. So the type of data may change, but leadership still has to decide what is acceptable, what should be restricted, and what just should be strictly off limits. Which leads us to a very important point. This is not just an IT problem. Most people generally equate AI with some part of the IT realm. Now, make no mistake, IT has an important role for sure, but IT cannot define every business rule alone. The operations team knows the production data. The financial team knows what financial data is sensitive and what's not. HR knows where the employee data lives, right? So what needs to happen here is leadership needs to decide what is acceptable, what should be restricted, and again, what should just be strictly off limits, shouldn't go anywhere near AI. So what's the common reaction to this? Well, most people say, fine, just block AI. We'll just block it all. Now, blocking for sure can be part of a control strategy, but it cannot be the whole strategy. If employees believe that AI is going to help them do their job, they will find workarounds. They have already found workarounds. For every obstacle that's come up in the world where we try to control it, the employees always find a way. So a block without any guidance could actually just create false confidence, right? You think you've locked this all down, and now they're out doing it with no visibility. So the companies really have three choices here in this area. Number one is do nothing at all. Make no mistake, that's still a decision. Number two, a full ban, just ban it all. Again, that sounds safer, but really what it does is it often pushes the behavior into personal accounts, unmanaged tools, basically outside the organization where we have no visibility and control over it. That can often be worse. So the better path here is really managed use. Make sure you have visibility, make sure we have some approved tools, clear data rules, and just some practical guidance for the team. All right, so what does that practical guardrails and guidance look like? So the guardrails should be simple enough for the employees to understand and for managers to be able to explain. A policy that nobody reads is not enough. A policy that nobody understands is useless, right? So what do the employees need? They need some examples. What's okay, what's not okay, and how do you know the difference and when should you ask? There is a route here where tool approval certainly matters, but behavior matters too, and probably more. Now, if this all starts to feel like a lot, I get it, but the starting point is actually pretty easy. So start first by understanding reality. Number one, what tools are employees already using? What data should never go into an unmanaged AI tool? Which tools are we going to allow, restrict, prohibit? Number four, just again, provide simple, concise guidance. Maybe also known as policies. Policies tend to sound complicated and big. Really, we just need to put some guidance in place here to let people know what's okay and what's not. And then who owns this guidance internally? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a shift from where people are, where we're guessing to having some guidance, going from no visibility at all to better visibility and hopefully some control over it. All right, so the goal is not perfect control. Perfect control is an illusion that doesn't exist. What we are trying to do is just create fewer blind spots so that we can make some better decisions. Your employees should not have to guess whether something is okay. We certainly don't want managers in a position where they feel like they have to just invent answers because they haven't been told. All right. So, manufacturing leaders out there, what's the next steps? Well, the first step is to just get a conversation going at the leadership level. Ask the employees, what are they already doing? Let's collect some data on what's happening out there. Number two, let's have some conversations and decide what sensitive data could be exposed. Let's decide where our sensitive data is. Where does it live? Does everybody understand what's sensitive and what's not? Right? Talk to your managers and make sure they understand what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. Make sure they have the guidance to give. So here's my ask today. If you take one thing away from this, take this. The question is not whether your company has officially adopted AI. The question is what employees are already putting into it. Where is that sensitive data that they don't know is sensitive leaking out of the organization? All right, so I'm going to stop there and open it up for questions, and we'll see what we get. Open up the Q&A panel. So yeah, again, you can either pop your question into the Q&A panel, or I'm happy to unmute you and see what you have to say. If you want to talk, I just need you to raise your hand. Okay, it's a shy group. So a couple things, just some starter things to think about. We already kind of talked, should we block public AI tools? Now we need to, but what I would suggest is pick one or two and block the rest. Again, we're trying to create some barriers here so that it's not 10 different tools we have to try to have some visibility into. So a lot of these tools are very similar. Employees don't need access to 10 of them. One or two is plenty. Talk about what an AI usage policy should include. And most of what we talked about today, making sure there's some guidelines on what is okay, what is not. Generally, for a full-fledged AI policy, you're going to want to consult probably your HR consultant or even your legal team. That's almost an entire webinar by itself, so I won't go into a lot on that. Who should own this internally? It's a great question. I think what a lot of places we see do are, putting together a tiger team to kind of start the process. A few representatives from different departments to talk about what data they own, where the data sits. That's a good start, but you really need somebody probably at the C level, not IT. You do not want IT owning this. Again, there's an IT component to it, but not at the level we're talking about. All right. Well, I went through that much faster than I thought. I certainly appreciate everyone's time. I'm here to help in any way I can. If there's on this topic or really anything else that you think I can help with, I'm here. Reach out after the fact. I know many of you know Ava and Carl. You can reach out to them. They know how to get in touch with me. But I hope you took some value on that, and we will be doing more of these in the future. So appreciate you coming. Have a great day.